Hey, good people, welcome back to Monique's Book List. So we are here to talk about some suggestions for fall/Halloween reads, and I'm doing a two-part series, just two videos, quick and hopefully not that hard to edit, with a list of books that I would suggest if you're trying to get into the fall/Halloween spirit in September and October. I'm hoping to have these uploaded as additional videos, like bonus videos, for one in September and one in October. So let's get started. So the first video is gonna consist of two categories. The first category is gonna be an anthologies, and then the second category is thrillers. So start anthologies. There's two books that I would recommend. The first one is called Because You Love to Hate Me. It is a group of short stories written by uh, I want to say either independent authors or YouTube booktubers turned authors. One of the most notable or famous ones is Anne Marie. Now, Anne Marie is not only is she a booktuber and now author, she is also an R&B singer, and that's how I came to find BookTube, was because she did an interview where she talked about that she was writing a novel, and I found her YouTube channel, and the rest is history. So let's talk about the anthology. The anthology consists of several short stories from the point of view of villains in famous classic fairy tales or classic novels. My favorite one has to be I don't know if it's because I like her so much, but it happens to be the one that Anne Marie wrote, and it is the point of view of Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk. So that is a very actually, yeah, but okay. So it's the point. It's from the point of view of Jack and the Beanstalk, but Jack is actually a girl. So, with all that being said, I really think you should check it out. I love villains. I think you will love it. It's very fun, whimsical. Of course, there will probably be some short stories that are not your favorite, but for the most part, it's a very good anthology of Halloween slash uh, villain stories. The second one would be Toil and Trouble. And again, this is by various authors. Toil and Trouble is a bunch of short stories about witches. There's various types of witches. There's water witches, there's earth witches, there's all kind, various types of situations that you find these witches in, and it is a very good read. My favorite one is about the water witch, where she is on her land and some soldiers. I don't remember if they are, if they have, what is it called when you, when you leave the military? I know AWOL, but there's an older term because it's kind of set in a different time period. Anyway, there's these soldiers that mean her no good, if you will, and it's very interesting. That story I like a lot. And then those are the only two anthologies I have for you. So let's get to the thrillers. On the thrillers, we're gonna start with my favorite thriller series, the Common Strike series, and I have talked about this 1,000 times. 1,000 times, and I probably will continue to talk about this series. This series is written by J.K. Rowling under her pen, and it is about a former military officer who is now retired and is a PI, and he is solving some of the most disturbing and some of the most high profile cases in London, and he has a assistant, now partner, by the name of Robin. And these books are amazing. The first book is called The Cuckoo's Calling. The second book is called The Silkworm. The third book is called Career of Evil. And the fourth book in the series is called Lethal White. Um, they are dark. The third book is probably the darkest, Career of Evil. I will warn you, there is there's sexual assault in that book. It doesn't take place in the book, but it talks about it in past tense. So just beware of that. Um, yeah, but outside of that, the books are amazing. They're written modern day, and it just goes to show you that J.K. Rowling is not a one-trick pony. So I really enjoy these books that she's written. The next thriller I would suggest is Jane Doe by Victoria Helen Stone. this was, from what I remember, it was supposed to be just a standalone book, but there's a second book coming out. It's due out 2020, I believe. And the first book, let's talk about the first book. For the first book, you meet Jane Doe, and that's just the name she keeps calling herself. Jane Doe is a, a self-diagnosed sociopath, and she is set on revenge for one of her friends who has committed suicide because of something that's happened to her. Not, it actually isn't anything sexual. It's just it's abuse. It's a mental abuse at the hands of someone that this her friend loved, and so Jane Doe is set out to cause some havoc on the person who caused her friend to kill herself. And it is a fantastic, good read. There is romance elements to this book, but it is not. It is not the focus of the book. The focus is Jane Doe, and you are in Jane Doe's head, so you are listening to her plot. You are listening to her talk about how she might hurt this person physically. You are all in her head, and it is a enjoyable book. I would highly suggest it if you're looking for a thriller. Now, the second book that's coming out in the series apparently is it's something to do with her niece. And her niece, I guess Jane sees herself and her niece, and she's trying to prevent. I don't know. The book isn't out yet, so I'm hypothetically it in, right? So let's talk about the next thriller. Now, the next thriller, I would technically classify this as thriller slash sci-fi. If you read the book, you'll know why I say that. But it is, if most people refer to it as a thriller, it is called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. And this is written by Stuart. I don't have his last name. Stuart, I think it's Torton or something like that. This book is really interesting because you wake up as the main character, but the main character is waking up in different bodies of people at this party, and he is tasked with trying to solve who's killed Evelyn Hardcastle. And as he's trying to solve this, there's also a time limit of when he has to get this solved, because if he wakes up in the last person's body and let me add this in. You're waking up in different people's bodies at this party, and this party is at like a person's compound. It's supposed to be a 3-day party. You're kind of you're away from town, so it's not like you can just go to town and get help. So you're kind of, you're secluded, and you're trying to solve all these murders. But the kicker is someone's trying to hurt you before you can solve all the murders. And if they hurt you by the time you wake up in the last body, in the 7th body, you're done. So basically, this is a wild, fun ride. Now, I would tell everyone and anyone who's reading this, it is a slow read. If you are physically reading this, it's a slow read, and you may get confused. My suggestion is, if you've never tried it before, I would try to listen to this book, and I would try to listen to it at 1.5. I enjoyed it once you get through the first couple of chapters and you get the feel of the writing and how it's going to go. I think you will highly enjoy it if you stay the course. But it is a good read, and the ending, I can't say I was happy with the ending, but it was a surprise. So I would suggest that. Now, my last suggestion in this series, in the thriller genre of books, would be the Pendergast series, which I'm currently reading with my best friend Cal. Hey, boo boo. And we are reading this series. We did, the first book was called The Relic, the second book was called Reliquy, and the third book, which we are on, is called The Cabinet of Curiosities. Now, these books are written by two authors. You have Douglas Preston and you have Lincoln Child. Now, let me explain to you how good these books are. These books are amazing. And I have never read a book. I can't say that. I have read several books. I appreciated this book was written in late 90s, or at least set in the late 90s. And it's aged very well. And I think there's a total of 19 books in this series. And they come all the way up to present day. And you are basically following, the story surrounds a detective or FBI agent by the name of Agent Pendergast. Now, his first name is Ulysses, and Mr. Ulysses Pendergast is a FBI agent from New Orleans, and he finds himself finding or solving all these like supernatural crimes. Like the first book, you're in a museum in New York, and you're trying to find out what is killing these people in this museum. In book 2, something happens that brings that kind of that beast back, and you're trying to figure that out. Now, the great thing about this series is because there are so many books, the authors got together brilliantly and decided that within a series, they would write series also. So like the first and second book are a series. The third book we're on is a standalone. I think the fourth book is a standalone, and then book 5 through 6 is a series in itself. And it goes that way all the way up until book 19. So it goes off like there's a few series in the book, but then there's standalones that just are just one part in the book. And on the whole series, it still surrounds Mr. or Agent Pendergast, but it's just a mini series in the long series. I like that. So I would highly suggest that too. So that's my last suggestion for this first video. I'm going to quickly start filming the second video after this. I would highly suggest you read any of these if you're looking for some thrillers or something to get you in the spirit for Halloween. Because if you're like me and my husband, we love Halloween. We love Christmas too, but we love Halloween. And I have to say, my Halloween TBR or my October TBR is the shit. I cannot wait to get into it. I got a bunch of cozy murder mysteries. I got some old fantasy in it that's kind of spooky. I got some thrillers. I'm so excited to read for the month of October. I've been reading some good stuff for September too. But October, man, let me just tell you, I'm excited. I might share my TBR. I'll think about it. But until then, you know what I want to say. Bye.